Hey guys, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Andre Seegers, and we're again joined by Derek Binder to discuss the news that a new Smash Bros. Character might have just leaked out, Palutena from the Kid Icarus series. So let's get this thing started. Okay, Derek, so, we normally don't cover rumors because most of them are fake. And this one could still be fake, but it's probably the most plausible rumor that we've seen yet, or in recent, memory, and that's why we're gonna talk about this. This is kind of big news if it's true. And that is basically, last night, a couple of images from the 3DS version of Smash Bros. Supposedly leaked out, confirming that Palutena is going to be a new character, or at least have some kind of role in the new Smash Bros. Game, which is huge news. So, before we dive into the many things we can talk about this, what's your gut reaction to seeing the screenshots come out?
As with any leak stuff, it's like, okay, how is this faked, or is it faked, or stuff like that. It just sort of disregarded automatically anymore,
right?
Because that people want to drum up interest, especially with Smash Brothers. They want to, get people interested, get people into it, and they'll leak anything to say, get people talking, and be like, hey, I did that. But the more you look at these screenshots, the more you see them, you kind of makes them plausible. So when I think about it, I think Palutena would make a great character.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have no opposition to her being a part of Smash Brothers at all. I think she's a great lineup. Just looking at her, something a little different. More representation from the Kid Icarus series, which is always great because I'd love to see more of that series. And I think just overall positive. It's not like, ooh, no, I don't want her. Please, let's have
right.
her.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Seeing, having any new representation from Kid Icarus, especially, would be very cool. But of course, the main question is this real? And no one knows for sure, obviously. However, my initial reaction was, this has to be fake. But the more I've seen and the more I've read about this, the more I'm leaning toward this actually being true. So, a lot of people on forums like NeoGAF and some Smash Brothers sites have been going through these screenshots, kind of like we do for an analysis, video. Mm-hmm. But they dove into this, and they found a lot of supporting evidence that suggests that this is real. For one, this model of Palutena isn't from any other game. It's not from Kid Icarus Uprising. It's she's never posed in these exact ways in those games. It's not from the AR card, they could use for Kid Icarus Uprising, and this also isn't from her appearance in Brawl. These are completely, this is a completely original model as far as anyone can tell. And beyond that, these, this level, or the screenshots are from the level Battlefield, and it's from an angle and perspective that we haven't seen before. Someone pointed out on NeoGAF, I believe, that the background mountains, we've never seen in this kind of proximity before. At least, with the amount of distance between the mountains and the background. Now, that's something you could probably fake pretty easily in Photoshop, but it is, noteworthy all the same. And then there's the fact, too, that Mario, I believe, in the first screenshot, hasn't been seen in that exact pose either. It's similar to how we've seen him before, but from what people have gathered, that is, we haven't seen him quite in that way before as well. So, all of this is kind of adding up to it either being this elaborate fake in recent memory, or it being real, which actually in this case seems like the more likely possibility. And it is interesting that we're seeing this, that they came out on the 3DS as opposed to the Wii U. I don't know if anything, I would say that maybe, that would probably be easier to fake of the two. So, as opposed to a Wii U screenshot. Because lower resolution, the character models aren't quite as detailed in the 3DS game. But beyond that, this is the most convincing evidence I've seen. This is a very convincing, leak. I'm leaning toward it being true. Where do you stand on this?
I am leaning more towards it being true, but I'm still have my reservations that it could still be faked. It seems it's because I gotta have that bit of skepticism regarding stuff like this. Now, along with the whole 3DS is easier to fake, it also would make sense that you leak the 3DS screens because, let's be honest, the 3DS is a bit easier to smuggle or take a quick picture of than the Wii U. You have to have TV set up and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, it'd be completely easy for them to... Well, I mean, once you got the mock-ups done, like Photoshop or whatever, you just load them up onto your 3DS and do, like, you know, I think into the photo viewer or whatever, you know, or go to your browser and just bring it up there. You know, I mean, it wouldn't be hard to display images on your 3DS. And then just take a picture of your 3DS in that capacity.
So it's possible. The evidence is very interesting that they're showing off here. And as many have said, if this is fake, it's one of the most impressive fakes that people have ever seen.
Because he would have. I mean, essentially, as far as we can tell, this would have to be an original character model. Like someone would have had to created a character model just for this fake. Which would be insane. Which actually means it could be true. I mean, it could be someone. There are a lot of insane people out there that will put in that much effort for a fake. But I mean, I actually do think that's extremely unlikely. So
yeah, it's impossible to say for sure. Of course, that's the hardest thing about these leaks. But honestly, I am leaning a bit more towards it being real, I should say. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's especially interesting because her appearance here appears to almost be like a mesh of her appearance in Kid Icarus Uprising as well as her prior appearance in Smash Bros. Brawl as an assist trophy. Like as far as her facial details and general appearance, it looks very similar to Uprising. But some of the details, appears that she shares some of the more detailed appearance of her appearance in Brawl. Like if you look at the top of her scepter, the golden portion of it, you can see some almost drawings on it basically in the 3DS game that were also in Brawl, but appear to be missing in her Uprising appearance. So I mean, it is kind of interesting that it's she looks like a more detailed version of her Uprising character basically that lists details from Brawl. And, Sakurai, of course, was involved in both of those games. So that makes sense for him to bring in details, from her prior appearances.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it makes sense as they slightly update. Like, I haven't taken a closer enough look at Pit to see if they changed anything about him as well. But as far as new moves and stuff, they have updated him in that way. So it's not unrealistic for those types of upgrades to be... implemented with her character. Perhaps the most interesting one that people spotted, though, was she has all those shapes or jewels or whatever on her belt, amulets, I guess, and one of them is in the shape of a Power Star from Super Mario Bros.
Or Starman, yeah.
Starman, as other people is originally called. So, and you look at past appearances. Never done before. So it's either an extra detail Sakurai added this time, or once again the fakers here are really damn good, and they just changed up the one amulet to look more like the Starman. Yeah,
I mean, I feel like that, if anything, lends even more credence to this being real. But it is one of those small little details that, I mean, again, like, if this is fake, this is one of the most impressive fakes ever made. But it does seem like a cool little detail that Sakurai would add, as a little detail on this character that you can barely see. So I think all this combined is the strongest evidence we have. I mean, I think it's strong evidence that this very, very well could be real. The only reason I'm still skeptical is just because how often does things like this leak out from Nintendo? I mean, we had the Cranky Kong leak before, but that was full box art from a retailer. This is, an in-development game that someone took screenshots of, supposedly.
And even the Pokemon leak, that was from people getting a hold of the game early. Retail
copies,
leaks.
Right.
And that's why all those things leaked. It's very rare for Nintendo to have stuff leak beforehand, at least screenshots. There's been leaks of, for once again, Pokemon. Many of the details were leaked out early, but there was no visual evidence of it. It's just like, hey, this might happen, this might happen, this might happen.
Yeah, and that's what I'm wondering too. Is like, how did this leak even happen? I mean, they are using Namco to develop this game. I mean, I don't know if having an outside developer might have contributed to the leak, but Japanese companies seem to have that pretty locked down, as far as like secrets leaking out. So I'm wondering if maybe like this is a playtester, perhaps, like maybe someone at Nintendo, not in the treehouse or something, but maybe like the game's so far along in development, it's actually reached the bug testing phase, or at least they're doing bug testing already, and maybe someone at Nintendo like took a screenshot of a build they were playing. I mean, even though that hasn't really happened before either, but it's if this is real, it's like, where was the point of failure in this? And it seems this is so uncharacteristic for Nintendo for this to happen.
If this is real, heads are probably rolling at Nintendo. Heads were rolling at Nintendo when just the retail leaks happened. So can you imagine if this was somebody who broke their NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, and did take these pictures? That person is dead.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it wouldn't bode well for them. Okay, so let's assume for the sake of the discussion that this is true, that these are real. Otherwise, this would be a really boring discussion if we assume it's fake and just end it here. So now the next main question: is this actually a playable character, or is it just like an assist trophy as she was in Brawl? Because I could see it going either way. Like there's really nothing here to suggest that one way or the other. Except for maybe, and this is actually something I should have looked into before, she does have the black outline of other characters in the game. Do the assist trophies have the black outline? Have we even seen an assist trophy on 3DS?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think every time we've seen an assist trophy, it's been on the Wii U. Right,
so we have nothing directly to compare it to. Because, if assist trophies do have that black outline, then, I mean, she very well could be. If they don't, then she might, that might confirm, well, that would confirm she's a character, basically. And she's clearly not a stage hazard because she appears in this level, a generic level, so...
Yeah, I think for every assist trophy we've had, it's all been on Wii U, so, because, that's where we saw Staffy, that's where we saw, or Starfy, that's where we saw, Ashley, that's where we saw, Skull Kid, so... we don't know if there's an outline for the assist trophies or not. I guess trying to think of the reason the outlines are there is so you can more easily see your characters.
Right.
That would sort of, in my mind, take away the point of having them on assist trophies, correct?
Yeah, that's a good point. You're right. You wouldn't want to get confused with the assist trophies.
Exactly. So that's another point in direction that this might be an actual playable character.
Right.
But my first gut thought when I saw this was like, oh, okay, if it is real, it's an assist trophy.
Yeah.
I just for some reason, okay, they changed up the way she works because of the uprising appearance, and now she does something different for her assist trophy.
Right.
Maybe I'm pessimist when it comes to that sort of thing, but you wouldn't. It's hard. I guess it was hard to believe that they would choose her as a main playable character, but then again, she does have a lot of abilities to become a good main playable character.
Yeah, well that's the thing. My first reaction was, what could her moveset be? Because in Kid Icarus Uprising, she was mostly confined to basically to story elements. She would assist Pit at various points by giving him powers like the ability to fly. But beyond that, she didn't do much. But then in researching this, before our discussion, we realized that you actually... I totally forgot about this. But you actually fight her at one point in the game when she's possessed. And she shows off like a variety of moves there. Some projectile, some up-close abilities that would lend themselves quite easily to being in a Smash Brothers game. I think some of the attacks we see her do are like like projectiles, like energy ball attacks or arrow type attacks. She has some charge attack, that she shows off at some point, and then if she gets close, she'll use melee attacks as well.
With her staff.
Yeah, with her staff, right? And we can see she has that here, and we can also see that she has a shield too. Which again, would make sense that she could use that for defense. Maybe in the does Pit doesn't have a shield anymore, does he? No,
he has the twin shields just up on both sides of him now.
Right. So that kind of lends a little bit even more credence to this, that she has a shield, you know, and with Pit losing his, you know, that maybe they didn't want them to play too similarly. So that I think that would make sense that she'd gain, you know, basically whatever shielding abilities Pit had before.
That's certainly possible. She has, with the staff, she has a ton of melee possibilities.
Right.
She has some projectile possibilities thanks to the light arrows and the way she can either send out 3 at a time or send a progression of them at one point. So you can almost make it look like Fox, where she's sending out multiple arrows very quickly. Then there's the whole fact that she can summon the Centurions. So right there's even more possibilities for her.
Right, she could, summon other characters. I see a lot of potential in her being a character. And I think more importantly, almost, is that she would be another female character. Which I think almost adds even more evidence to this. Because Smash Brothers, we've discussed before, has been kind of lacking the female department. And now that they have, you know, Rosalina here, and with Palutena possibly being confirmed for this game too, they just pretty much drastically increased the amount of female characters from before.
Oh, absolutely. And I think even Sakurai himself has mentioned that he wants a bit more female representation within Smash Brothers. So it once again, evidence, you know, it makes sense for Palutena to become playable. And I kind of want to play as her. It seems like fun to be something a little different. Once again, you know, given the great you know, ups to Kid Icarus, I'd love to see a sequel to that game.
Right.
All that good stuff. That's the great thing about a leak or a rumor like this. There's those hints of plausibility that make it feel so much more exciting. Yeah,
it's you know, it's been. I feel like the Smash Brothers announcements this time have been a little bit lower key than like during the Brawl days. I remember like there was like so much hype during Brawl, and people were like getting excited over the smallest things, and you know, all these rumors were flying about, as I recall. And then this new game just feels like it's been a little bit more subdued. So this leak kind of it's almost like a shot in the arm for like being just, you know, like energized or excited for this game. This is like the first big leak we've had. Or you know, potentially big leak we've had, and it's getting people talking, and that's really what Nintendo needs. It's almost making me kind of wonder, like, was this orchestrated? Like, is Nintendo just trying to make it look like a leak? You know,
they're not really the types to do that sort of thing, but hey, could be possible. They are decided to try new things,
right? I mean, what better way? I mean, I almost feel like this gets more attention as a leak than it would as being officially confirmed. And of course, you know, when they officially confirm it, they'll get a whole new wave of press again. So it's almost like getting 2 waves of press for the price of 1. You have the leak, then the official confirmation, and especially coming from Nintendo, like, you know, that's, you know, basically relatively unheard of for them. So it makes, I'm not that conspiracy theories, but it almost makes too much sense here, especially with Nintendo having that stuff on lockdown all the time. Like, I mean, either way, you know, however this came out, it's just crazy that it did, you know, like, assuming it's real and not a fake, which, again, one of the most elaborate, well-done fakes of all time. So, final impressions of having potentially Palutena in the game? Like, final thoughts, anything we didn't discuss, Derek, you wanted to bring up?
Not really. Like I said, it's the guys who went ahead and took a look at these leaks and really dived into them. Good on them, because that had to be a lot of research to check every one of her appearances. How did she look in Brawl? How did she look on this? To really see if she is the same, a different, what kind of, you know, if it was basically manufactured. And so far from their research, usually stuff like this gets found out pretty quick.
Right.
And to date, it has not. So that just leads even more further credence to this being real. So I guess we'll find out as people do more research and keep looking for those details. Hard to say.
Yeah, so are you pretty excited to have her as a character then, or? Yeah,
I think you know, I think she made a fun assist trophy in Brawl. She could still probably be a very fun assist trophy in Wii U and 3DS if they decide to go that route. But obviously, I'd prefer to have her as a playable character. I think there's a lot of potential there, a lot of things we could do with her. It'd be just fun.
And I mean, I think she would be fun. I mean, I really liked, you know, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of Kid Icarus Uprising, I love the presentation, and that included the characters. And Palutena had a great personality in that game. And
oh yeah, definitely.
I'd like to see that. I'm sure. With the way we've seen them like animating the more recent, or some of the characters this time around, like with King Dedede, going all out with his facial expressions. Like I can only imagine how great of a job they'll do in capturing her personality through her moveset in Smash Brothers. And as we talked about before, they are looking to add more female characters to Smash Brothers. There's really not many other people they could add besides Palutena. So it almost makes too much sense for this to be real and for her to be here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple others potential ones that you could do for female characters. Like you still have Daisy, you still have like Crystal from Star Fox Adventures, but they're characters that don't quite have the fan base as the others. And I think Sakurai has a lot of love. Sakurai obviously loves the games he previously worked on. Like look at Kirby. So since he's worked on Kid Icarus, I think we can expect to see a bit more love for that series.
It would make sense, especially with Kirby gaining an additional 2 characters in the last game. It would make sense that they would let that series kind of chill out for a bit and add focus on another one of his series, being Kid Icarus being Kid Icarus. Especially because he has been so heavily involved with that series, at least as of recently. Again, like I am still a little bit skeptical, of course, by virtue of it being a leak. But again, this is the most compelling leak I can remember. Like usually, that's why we haven't discussed the Nintendo Fusion rumors. Because that just looks so clearly made up, especially with I think it was Kotaku researching where those rumors came from. Even the sites that reported them originally were like, oh yeah, we really don't know who this source is, and obviously we don't know the source for these screenshots either. But the evidence itself is so much more compelling than anything in the Nintendo Fusion leak.
Yeah, so it's too early for there's people are getting hyped up and think that Nintendo's in trouble because of these recent reports.
Right.
So that's where they're coming up with these Nintendo Fusion rumors.
Yep.
So disregard that. This is a lot more plausible, I think. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited too. In fact, this whole week for Smash Brothers has been really exciting. So if you like this discussion, make sure to stay tuned on Friday or Saturday, depending on when we post it, for our weekly discussion of Smash Brothers, where we'll dive into the new news that came out this week, and there's some pretty big stuff so far. So thanks guys for watching, and make sure to stay tuned to GameXplain.com for more on Smash Brothers, and other things gaming as well. And of course, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter if you don't already, at GameXplain. You can find links to them in the description below, and we post all kinds of things there. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Bye.